Yeah, I'm Olusola Ehindero, retired from Obafemi Awolowo University 2010, and I've been trying to assist in the propagation of academic culture. So I've served as a pioneer university, vice chancellor of Atiba University. I currently am vice chancellor of West African Union University in Cotonou, Benin Republic. I should do so many consulting jobs for those who are willing to advance because of education in the country. I'm basically a teacher. We thank God that OAU has been the foremost university in the country. I mean, there's no doubt about that. No ramifications, politics apart, OAU has been the foremost university in the country. Whether you talk in terms of the quality of instruction, the quality of lecturers, the quality of the learning environment, and the quality of outputs. In other words, those who graduated in OAU in this country today, where are they, and how have they input into the development of the country? This is how I assess a university. The pace of improvement, that one expects is yet to be achieved. Probably this cannot be due to the university. The economic environment and the political environment are not favorable for that type of development. There should be more consciousness of the lecturers of their expectations in the society. They have not been able to meet the local and national expectations from the university of that status. And I think this is one of the things that the authority of the university is trying to solve in all purposes. This is one thing I find, and there has been somewhat not sufficient improvement has been made on the learning environment. Again, as I've said, it's not the fault of the administration, but it's a logical consequence of the politics and economics of the country. I came to OAU, as I've said, in 1977, and I met a very virile university system with very progressive academic culture. And that culture facilitated our upward academic mobility. It was a culture that emphasizes, because it still does, that emphasizes hard work, quality, dedication, sacrifice. Then it also provides environment for mentoring and mentorship. So some of us enjoyed that environment, and by the grace of God, we progressed rapidly until we got to the peak of our career, I'm one of those who believes in greater interactions. I did education, so I know what interacting with your colleagues, with your students, because learning to a large extent is interaction. So there is a lot of social and academic interaction. And when in an environment like OAU, the priorities that have been established in the context of learning and culture will also try to promote this social interaction. As I said earlier, that interaction between the town and the gown is yet to be optimized. And I think that is one of the areas where we have to work. Individually, I've been trying to blend that. In my social life, for example, I spend many of my social life outside the campus in a way to bridge the gap between the two generations. I'm an elderly person now. I try to bridge the gap between the generations and bridge the gap between the town and the gown. Unfortunately, the people in the town, if a community, they are very tolerant, they are understanding, and they are very accommodating. So all these ones provide another environment where you can maximize your your interaction with all classes. I move a lot with the artisans, and I enjoy myself. I don't believe that you get to a lecture room, you speak so much English, you get to the area where you try supposed to relax, you begin to speak English. Establish a framework whereby you and the ordinary Nigerians in the town can interact. Through those series of interactions, you solve so many problems that you may not be able to solve in the classroom alone. And you try to understand your environment better. You understand the environment better, and you try to provide a sort of opportunity for people. There are people, from my own experience, there are people who want to interact with us on campus. But they say, oh, he's a professor. They think you are a demigod. Now, these are the type of things we should discourage at our level. Let people have access to you. The government, your people have invested so much in you. There is a way you can pay back. And this way of interaction is a very veritable way where you can pay back what the government has invested so much in you. And don't believe the type of interactions. At times, some of these people just need your advice. Their children want to get to the university. This is a foremost, they want to get there, they want to have an opportunity. There are little ways. There are little ways you can get into them and bring to build this town-gown relationship. The interactions are basically academic and social. My best friends have been my students. There's no doubt about that. With all humility, I know a lot of my former students who are professors today, that are in the Faculty of Education. Some of them have established universities. Some of them are senators. Some of them are administrators. I can mention some of them. I think I single out probably Professor Ehindero, one of my best friends. And I'm proud to say that. One of my best friends. And we still interact today. Mokebukola, the Executive Secretary of NUC, was my student here. Senator Tinubu, Tinubu was my student here. I can mention many of them. Professor Bilade was a former Vice Chancellor. Professor Mrs. Aladejana. All these were my students that I have mentored. Professor Mejunimi, Professor Afolabi, Professor Alao, Professor former Deputy Governor of Ondo State, Mr. Adelabu, Her Excellency was my best friend. Those who I have interacted with, people have also influenced me. Later Dalegbe, late Fafunwa, later Oshika. These were giants in education, and I've benefited strongly and immensely from them. So I've since learned the value of classlessness. And I think it's very important. I have interacted also with so many other people outside the university system, but I have benefited most from my students, my former students. I have benefited most from my former students, both in the faculty, outside the faculty. Professor Okeje, not in the faculty, but sincerely, he has been like a son to me. Experience, Othello, Akimbobola, many of them. So these are budding academics. Some of them have reached the zenith of their own profession, and we still interact on a daily basis. Now that is the type of framework I was telling you, the framework for developing friendship, for mentorship. Some of them see me as a model. Professor Dekule, for example, I was see me as a model. Professor Akimbobola. And when you mention those that are very significant in terms of their own profession today, these are individuals that you are forced to reckon with in terms of their productivity. You are forced to reckon with them. During my time, there was a lot. There was commitment. There was dedication. There was this consciousness. There was this drive to meet the quality that Ife has set. There was this drive. Whether you are in the relaxation environment, the staff club, you still have this consciousness that, look, Ife must not go down. To some extent, I've not seen that now. Although there are still rudiments, and there are individuals who are truly dedicated to that. But again, as I have said, many of these so-called lapses can be attributed to the politics and the economics in the country. The type of vote, the type of expectations coming from the government to boost academic environment, to assist students, they are no more. So the motivation is no more there. You find lecturers struggling on their own, getting loans to publish papers, putting so much politics in academics. We see that nowadays. You don't find that in the years before. You don't find them in the years before, when you just have to be. Many people suspect, lecturers suspect each other nowadays for no just cause. You don't belong to this camp, you become an enemy of the system. You don't like this vice chancellor, you become an enemy. And the vice chancellors will like to force you to be in line. All those ones, they are tangential to academic culture. And I'm happy vice chancellors are beginning to bridge these apparent gaps. Professor Mwade is definitely doing things like that. Bridging the gaps between the cow and the gown, even between generations in the university. Mentorship, mentoring. These are things that we cannot see in their true color in the present academic culture. It's being revived. But again, the politics of the country, where virtually vice chancellors are powerless now. So there's little they can do. Most of the things now come. There has been this over centralization of academic activities, whereby you see now dictates whatever happens in universities. But I'm happy if it has become, I mean, it still retains some of this established historical academic culture. But for that, most of the powers of the Senate are being taken away by NUC. All these things didn't happen before. The academic programs and academic decision-making policies will initiate and stop at the level of the Senate. It doesn't happen today. Today we find vice chancellor trying to beg for appointment, go and look for appointment, to appoint people in this place. Vice chancellor can hardly give you appointments here. And what you think of the consequences to the quality of education when vice chancellor cannot even appoint their lecturers? Appointment has to come from Lagos. From Abuja. From those who are less knowledgeable about the system in the university. What do you expect? So they contribute more to the dysfunctional, to the problems of education and the apparent collapse of educational system and quality. Being with this over centralization in the university system, which has to be stopped. Obviously, the staff club. I was a very strong soccer player. Even as a lecturer, as a professor, we still played. So my best sport on campus is soccer. There's one Oyo. I used to take laugh and all these things from. And there is this again. I don't know whether it's still around here. Then this, but the best one was at that time the 70s and 80s. Oyo. We have to Oyo there. Then there is this again. We take goat meat there. The sporting events and the event is when the collectivity of Ife, particularly the students, decide to invite someone to come and give a lecture. You will see Ife in its true color that time. Or if, on the alternative, when some individuals bring an unpopular figure to Ife, you see how Ife reacts. And I'm always very excited when I see Ife giving individuals, telling the world the way they feel about a particular person. Is what I like most. Is the Aluta thing. The best phrase there is any other university is a counterfeit. And they still retain it. See, regardless of whatever statistics that are being reeled out, Ife still has the best. And the other thing Alta and one university. Any other university is a counterfeit. September 1945. I'm from Ondo State, Onyakoko. That's the first, that is the world capital. That village is the world capital. Just to advise them to try to propagate that vision, that motto, learning and culture. And you can see it in many of our products, learning and culture. Wherever you find graduates of OAU, they redefine themselves and have a lot of self-esteem. They redefine themselves. Every other, look, if you have 10 universities in this country, I find students from the 10 universities, it's not easy for you to identify graduates of OAU. Other students from other universities also are conscious of the fact, hey, these are people from Oba University. So it is this culture, this academic culture, this culture for culture and learning, and the quality that they have gotten from IFE is what is the instrument they use to redefine themselves and to adapt to their changing environment. And I think this is what even most employers will now look for, people of that background. The interactions are basically academic and social. My best friends have been my students. There's no doubt about that. And with all humility, I know a lot of my former students who are professors today, that are in the Faculty of Education. Some of them have established universities. Some of them are senators. Some of them are administrators. I can mention some of them. I think I single out probably Professor Ehindero, one of my best friends. And I'm proud to say that. One of my best friends. And we still interact today. Dele Momodu, for example, we know what he has done with Ovation. Prominent among them is Dr. Rahman Adedoyin. He is the proprietor of Oduduwa University. I'm proud to be part of the initiative of that university. And today, with all humility and whatever, Adedoyin can be said to be the cornerstone and the centerpiece of economic growth in Ife. Because, as I've said some years ago, I still maintain that Adedoyin, to a large extent, is a living, no Ife son or daughter today that I know of that has economically transformed the environment of Ife than Dr. Adedoyin. And I'm very proud to be not only a former lecturer, but a friend. Someone who has a foresight. He has a university, he has a polytechnic, and he has other universities in other places. And so here is someone with a foresight. With his age, I pray he lives long to leave this legacy. This is an enviable legacy that any proud person would like to be associated with. Dele Arolo is another former student that is into gas and oil and gas. He read physical education here, and he has been making waves in the oil and gas sector. Okebukola, they have mentioned the budget. He remains one of my best friends. He remains today one of my best friends, and I'm proud of him. Okebukola, the executive secretary of NUC, was my student here. Tinubu was my student here. I can mention many of them. Professor Bilade was a former vice chancellor. Professor Mrs. Aladejana. All these were my students that I have mentored. Professor Mejunimi, Professor Afolabi, Professor Alao, Professor former Deputy Governor of Ondo State. Putere Adelabu, Her Excellency, was my best friend. Those who I have interacted with, people have also influenced me. Later Dalegbe, late Fafunwa, later Oshika. These were giants in education, and I've benefited strongly and immensely from them. I have interacted also with so many other people outside the university system, but I have benefited most from my students, my former students. I have benefited most from my former students, both in the faculty outside the faculty, Professor Okeje, not in the faculty, but sincerely, he has been like a son to me. Experience, Othello, Akimbobola, many of them. So these are budding academics. Some of them have reached the zenith of their own profession, and we still interact on a daily basis. Now that is the type of framework I was telling you, the framework for developing friendship, for mentorship. Some of them see me as a model. Professor Dekule, for example, I was see me as a model. Professor Akimbobola. And when you mention those that are very significant in terms of their own profession today, these are individuals that you are forced to reckon with in terms of their productivity. My wife, for example, I met her as a student here, and I'm proud. Former Miss Adefunke Adeleke. Now she's an associate professor now in counseling. So I'm grateful to all of them. They have transformed my life, and they continue to redefine my retirement, which I'm enjoying. I'm gracing, I'm aging with grace, with no regrets at all. One challenge I want to give up now. Apart, I've gone through your vision and your mission, and I'm very satisfied with what you have identified. You have identified. I mean, you have come up with a mission and a vision that address the contemporary challenges of university system and learning, and that's what I'm impressed about. I saw in one of your visions, I think the mission, I saw where you are trying to bridge the gap between the generations. Look, the university should not be disconnected, or people should not disconnect themselves from the university. The university is a system, it's a culture of it, so it has its own microculture. And anything that can be done to sustain that microculture, which is distinct, should be encouraged. So what you are doing from my own perspective, you are not only trying to redefine and bring into consciousness this culture, you are trying to bridge the apparent gap you have identified between the generations. I know that the widening of this gap is not in the interest of the university system, it's not also in the interest of the students or the products. So I want to commend you some that aspect. And you talk about mentorship. This is something that is dying in the university system. This concept of mentorship is dying. That was not what we met in Ife in the 70s and 80s. It was not what we met. Like with your own vision, you are trying to revive the phenomenon of mentorship and mentoring. And I'm sure from your activities, I have no doubt that you'll be able to meet that one. Then this town-gown relationship, this is what you are trying to do. It's another important aspect of your vision, which I must commend. And I think with given the right environment, the right contact, and the economy, the financial assistance, you'll be able to redirect and define what university systems should be doing, what students should aspire to, and what lecturers should be doing. In this context, I give you a kudos.